as some of us told the Tinubu government, Niger is more important to Nigeria than ECOWAS. They share borders with almost 6 states. They are basically young people. 70% of Niger is Hausa people. The river Niger passes through them. And you want to sell gas to Europe. If you want to sell gas to Europe, where is your pipeline going to pass? You have to go through Niger. You can't on the one hand be saying you're signing contract with Germany for gas. I'll be fighting Niger where the gas line or pipeline will pass through. I don't want to frighten people, but maybe the problems of the countries are yet to begin. Because in 25 years' time, the Nigerian population will to reach 400 million people. That 400 million people, they have to be fed. The amount of money to remove the Nigeria off the street is more than the national revenue of Nigeria. But the political spaces have been radicalized thanks to social media. The information age is spreading rapidly all these transgressions that politicians are doing. They have no place to hide. And there's a limit to which they can keep using violence and force. The use of that violence and force will begin to create problems for themselves, because the more of those strategies they use, the more they're also inviting the military to take over power.
Are there specific examples from other regions or countries that you believe countries in Africa can draw inspiration from in terms of political reforms?
Well, some people will argue that some small countries are doing better. They point to Rwanda. Sometimes they point to Botswana. I was there last August. I was in Gaborone. Sometimes, until the financial crisis in Ghana, everybody was using Ghana as a good example. South Africa is in a mess because of xenophobia, the decaying infrastructure, the black on black violence, they're still there. Hopefully, if countries like Algeria, like Kenya, like Nigeria do better, they would provide the opportunities for many other countries in different regions to also transform themselves.
Let me also get your perspective on this. In one of your recent pieces, which you wrote, you talked about the fallouts of government's failure to tackle corruption becoming uncontrollable. And part of what you prefer solutions to the problem of malfeasance is to reduce the monetary attraction of public office holders. How do you mean by that?
Well, I've also argued that corruption can be privatized, in which the current democratization of poverty, whereby everyone has an access to corruption, is not working. That why don't you develop a corporate elite? If you get a contract, they will do it very well, make their own profit, which they're entitled to as entrepreneurs. And maybe if the number can be reduced, because as the stage in which we are, we cannot be talking about the elimination of corruption. Because the people who are in power, that is part of the process, is the recycling of state money. They steal from the state to run for elections. So those are not going to be party to this conversation. And at the bottom level, I'm very hopeful that a generation will come and say enough. maybe because of suffering, maybe they see no end to this crisis. And the rise of the conservatives in Europe and the US, France took a decision yesterday. It's through a majority landslide vote that they want to reduce the number of immigrants coming to their country. So steps like that may wake us up. They may wake us up, hopefully, and people will begin to rethink how they will bring some of these issues around values back to the table.
Finally, Prof, as the Jacob and Francis Sanga-Musica Chair in the Humanities, how do you see the humanities contributing to a better understanding of contemporary political issues in Nigeria and Africa as a whole?
So that is what humanities basically do every day. That's what they do, because they study societies, the institutions, the sociology, the economics, the politics, it's anthropology, and they come up with the ideas of how changes can be produced. That's what they do basically. You can find many lawyers in politics, but you are not going to find many engineers in politics. You're not going to find many doctors in politics. So you find how some occupations are actually cut out of. Some are well suited for these conversations, and some they are aloof from this conversation. The humanities are at the very center of this conversation, not just in Nigeria, but everywhere in the world.
So finally, what's, in your opinion, could form a basis for a reform in terms of producing ethical leadership in Nigeria and confronting the hydra-headed issues and challenges that the country is facing at this time?
Well, in many societies, they passed through what we call revolution. Some have passed through reforms. But in our own case, you know, we have one of the highest number of churches in the world, mosques in the world, pastors in the world. So there is religion, but there is no God and commitment to God. We have resources, but they're badly used.
Yeah.
We have land, but we are not generating enough food. We have people, but we are not developing human capacity. So we are bundles of contradictions, in which on the left side of the balance sheet, we have many good things. But on the right side, the outcomes are negative. But in making my closing statement, let me do so in two ways, with a warning and with the expression of hope. In that warning, I don't want to frighten people, but maybe the problems of the countries are yet to begin. Because in 25 years' time, the Nigerian population will double. Current projection is that it's going to reach 400 million people. That 400 million people, they have to be fed, but we are not laying the agricultural foundation to feed them. They have to go to the school. We don't have the plan to create the schools that they can go to. We are allowing the number of our majority to keep increasing, which is very unfortunate. In one projection done last year, the amount of money to remove the majority off the street is more than the national revenue of Nigeria. It's as bad as that. And then we are reproducing poverty. And in that reproduction of poverty, the current figure of 130 million people, if we are not careful, is going to double. That will escalate violence. You cannot contract development to the streets and asking the military and the police to be taking care of kidnappers and armed robbers and area boys. It's not going to work. What you have to do more effectively is to have a means and a system that will allow people access to food, good drinking water, basic health facilities, and neighborhood schools that their kids can go to. Without doing those minimum, I think we are laying a greater foundation for a greater crisis. But hope is there, because Nigeria is full of intelligent people, highly skilled people, energetic young men and women, land mass, mineral resources, whether it's gold or lead, lithium, and so many things. How we have to put those resources to use and transform the nation, and our ability to do so effectively is what will change this narrative from bad to good.
Have it, guys. Our African leaders are really trying their best to manage Africa's challenges as much as they are. And when we show these speeches here on this channel, we actually encourage to share our thoughts in the comments. And so whatever it is you guys think about these speeches, please do share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please share and like and subscribe, because that's the way you support Kwazemi as a channel, an Afrocentric channel, where we try to understand deeper issues in African history and hopefully develop a collective intelligence on how we wish to build the Africa we want to see as people of Africa. See you in the next one.